Hello everyone, I'm Nick Harrison with Rocky River Woodworks, and in this video I'm going to build a dedicated workbench. I've never had one. I've always just had kind of countertops, outfeed tables, miter saw station, whatever. I haven't had a dedicated workbench. So in this video, that's what I'm going to do. This is what remains of my previous planer outfeed table slash workbench, I guess you could say. It was just kind of screwed together and thrown together basically. Wasn't very sturdy, wasn't very heavy, but a lot of the 2x4s that I use for this I can repurpose for my workbench. So I'm going to start by, this is currently 8 feet long. I'm going to make it down to 6 feet long for my workbench. So I'm going to start by doing this. But anyways, today we're making a workbench. All right, so I have my previous bench disassembled. I'm gonna use these legs on the new bench, but right now they're just screwed together with very few screws. So my new bench, I'm gonna glue and screw. Also these bracings, these stretchers going front to back are just screwed into the side. So I'm gonna undo that and make half lap joints on this piece. This will stay solid for this to shoot, to slide into. So I'm gonna work on that now. I'm gonna do that with a dado set on my table saw. All right, so now I have my dado blade, dado set installed on my table saw. And in order to make the half lap, I need to dado through this half the distance, the width of the 2x4 that's gonna come in there. The 2x4 is 1.5 inches, nominal dimension. So I'm gonna use this sweet little tool to set my dado blade to 1.5 inches tall, and that will, give me the proper depth for making my dados. I'll leave a link to this in the description if you'd like to pick one up also. So now we need to test it, and we need to make sure that this is not only wide enough to hold this, which it looks like I could use a little bit more, but also deep enough to accept this. So we're gonna sneak up on the cut. You don't wanna do too much. So that's exactly how we want it. All right, flush across here, it's wide enough and deep enough this way. So I'm gonna repeat this for the other leg and then repeat it 2 more times for the other side of the bench. All right, so now my dados, or my half laps, are complete here. I'm now going to make the stretchers and the half laps for the long side of the bench. So these will go this way, the long stretchers will go this way. Now, since I have not glued these 2 pieces together yet, I'm going to just unscrew this and just cut where I need it. I'm not gonna use a dado blade. I'm just gonna chop saw it and make a spacer, because that's the simplest way to do it since it's not glued together yet. All right, so now that I have everything cut the way I need it, I'm going to grab the short pieces and start gluing and screwing these back together to make a basically laminated two 2x4s to make a laminated durable leg. So now that I've finished creating the legs, there's no need to wait on the glue to dry. That's why I put the screws in it also, just because I'm impatient. So now I'm gonna work on installing the short 24-inch end stretchers as well as the long stretchers, and the base will almost be done. So now that this part of the base is done, the next thing I'm gonna do is make some stretchers on the top portion Now, instead of running the stretchers all the way flush to the outside, I'm gonna leave it in 1.5 inches. That will allow me to put a stretcher on each end. So again, I'm gonna get my cutting ready, glue and screw. All right, so the base of this project is now complete. It's time to work on the top. And the way I'm gonna do that is using 20 2x4s laminated together, standing upright to cover this whole thing. That will give me 30 inches, 1.5 inch 2x4. So I'm gonna do it in increments. I'm gonna do about 3 or 4 at a time, glue them together. I'm gonna use this temporarily since I have it built. Once the glue dries, I'll run them through the planer and then I'll do one massive big glue up at the end. All right, so each of the beams that I glued up are finally getting to the point where the glue's starting to dry. So as the glue dries, I'm gonna take them out of the clamps and run each beam individually through my planer, get them to the same thickness, and then we'll glue all the beams together. This video is sponsored by Elgin. Elgin is a manufacturer of Bluetooth earbuds for noise canceling uses. So like with planing and pretty much every equipment in the shop, you know, we have the tools that are very loud, CNC machines, routers, planers, joiners. They're, you know, over time can become hard on your ears and lead to injuries as you get older. I never think about it because I'm young, I hear fine, it just doesn't occur to me. But you need to save your hearing. Elgin makes Bluetooth earbuds. They're regular earbuds like you would use when you're mowing grass. They go in your ear, but they're Bluetooth compatible, can sync to your phone. They're very noise canceling, but instead of just having the boring old silence, you can now have Bluetooth capability to your phone. You can take calls, you can listen to music, whatever the case is. Be sure to check them out, elginusa.com. I will also leave a link in the description. Their product comes in a nice carrying case with a charger, some clips to go on your shirt to hold everything in place. It's just an overall great product, and I'm happily sponsored by them for this video. Check them out, elginusa.com. All right. All of my beams, the laminated 2x4s, have been ran through the planer just to get one side flat. I'm not really worried about the bottom. The only reason the bottom would matter to be flat is when it sits on the base. If it's not flat, it'll twist or not be level sitting flat. I'll cross that bridge in a minute and I'll show you how. If I need it, I might not even need it. With this, I originally made 4 laminated beams. 2 of them had 6 2x4s, 1 of them had 5 2x4s, 1 of them had 3 2x4s. That would give me 20 total, being 30 inches wide. They're 1.5 inches each. I don't think I need that. So the one that just had the 3 2x4s, being a total of 4.5 inches, I'm gonna leave off just because I think it's wide enough as it is. These beams, I keep calling them beams, but you know what I'm talking about. They're just sitting here right now. And just sitting them here next to each other, they are not in line with one another. I mean, I have like a 1/4 inch higher on this one than I do this one. There's a lip here. No big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and glue all of these together, let the glue dry overnight. I will then come back and flatten the entire thing to make it completely smooth all the way across after it is made into one tabletop. You can also see that they're different lengths right now. No problem, we'll square those up in the next step. So for now, I'm gonna get all these together, glue them up, put as much clamping pressure as I can. I'm gonna try to make them as flat and in line with each other as possible, even though it's not gonna be perfect, and I know that, and I'm okay with that. So for now, glue up. So now that our bench top is dry, it's been drying for 2 days and I have the clamps removed, it's now time to flatten this top. You can do this multiple ways. If you're fortunate enough to have a CNC machine, you could put a surfacing bit in the CNC and have it take off a layer to make it completely flat. The cheaper option is to use a router sled. If you don't have a router sled and you'd like to make one, I have made a video showing you the easy way to make one, and I'll link it up in the corner. So you could do that option. What I'm going to do, since this is spruce pine, I'm just going to use a belt sander with 80 grit sandpaper. Since it's such a soft wood, 80 grit's pretty rough. It'll take off a lot of material very quick. This might take a little bit more time, but I feel like I have more control over it, and to be honest with you, going back and forth on the router sled is very monotonous, and I'm just lazy right now. I have a ton of stuff in the way. I don't want to set up my router sled. So I'm going to use the belt sander to get it almost flat, and then I'll come back with a random orbital sander to completely sand it smooth. All right, so somewhere in the midst of all my filming, I lost the footage of me using the random orbital sander, and I got this sanded pretty smooth. There's still some lines in it, but honestly, I don't really care. It's just a workbench, and it's gonna get chewed up anyway when I start working on it. So now that it's smooth, I'm gonna square up these corners, cut them off, mount this top to the bench itself, and then put a couple coats of shellac on it, and then we'll be done. So let's do that, and we're on the home stretch. All right, now that I've put a coat of shellac on here, the top is attached and the bench is done. I got it in position, I think, where I want it in my shop. I'll probably be moving some of this stuff in the near future, but I think this is where I want it. That gives me plenty of space in front of the bench for building larger furniture, shelves, cabinets, whatever. So that's all for this video. I hope you found some value in this video, and if you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. You can find this project and more on my website at www.rockyriverwoodworks.com. Don't forget to follow me on social media at RockyRiverWW. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.